For most of our history, we have measured success through a very simple lens: growth. As a species, our biological drive has always been to expand our footprint, extract resources, and conquer our environment. That outward push built the modern global economy, threading complex supply chains across oceans to construct massive infrastructures that flow 24 hours a day. But those same survival instincts, the drive to consume and dominate, eventually hit the physical limits of the Earth. This drive has crossed a threshold, turning from an evolutionary advantage into an active threat to our own biosphere. When a system expands outward continuously without an internal principle to guide it, it collapses under its own weight. It is a matter of basic physics and ecological gravity. We have tried to self-regulate this crisis from the top down. In 2015, the United Nations established the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, a collection of 17 interlinked global targets designed to eradicate poverty and protect the environment by 2030. Yet, at the midpoint of this timeline, the UN issued a stark warning. Secretary General Antonio Guterres noted that every single goal is seriously off track. Meanwhile, our technological capability continues to scale. We are building massive supercomputers and expanding our computational reach. But without an underlying existential compass, this processing power often just accelerates resource extraction. Global political agendas and immense computing power fall short when they operate in a vacuum. Unless humanity develops an inward ethical evolution to steer these tools, we are simply driving in the wrong direction, faster. The modern corporation serves as the primary engine for this growth. For over a century, these organizations have functioned as the ultimate expression of human expansion. Historically, they operated under a strict doctrine known as shareholder primacy. Shareholder primacy is the strict legal mandate that a company's only obligation is to maximize financial returns for its investors. But today, that rigid historical framework is fracturing. In its place, a new model called corporate purpose is gaining traction. Under this new model, a business defines its reason for existing based on solving specific social or ecological planetary problems, treating profit as a byproduct of that solution rather than the sole objective. This structural pivot is an urgent biological adaptation, human networks actively attempting to reorganize themselves to survive in a depleting environment. Recent research into these companies reveals a clear pattern. For corporate purpose to actually work, an organization has to balance two contrasting forces. The first is the outside-in frame. This is a top-down approach where a company takes global, science-based targets, like the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and integrates them into its operational metrics and strategy. This chart shows the inside-out frame, a bottom-up approach, where employees find profound ethical meaning in their labor. Next, this diagram illustrates how these alignments interact. True sustainability transformation requires outward systemic goals and inward individual goals to operate simultaneously, driving organizational change. You can map out all the global targets you want, but this hybrid model proves that massive structural change fails unless the individuals executing it are deeply psychologically aligned with the mission. This need for internal alignment is colliding with the rapid rise of artificial intelligence. AI functions as a cognitive partner, a system that actively amplifies the specific intent of its human users. This dynamic is called co-intelligentialism, the concept that human and machine intelligence are not separate entities, but are actively co-evolving, continuously shaping each other's behaviors and capabilities. Most current debates focus on traditional AI alignment, trying to control these systems through mathematical constraints. But if we are co-evolving, mathematical control is insufficient on its own for managing the shared values between humans and machines. Because AI drastically increases the speed and scale of decision-making, it magnifies whatever purpose drives it. Without a carefully cultivated inward ethical evolution, these systems will simply execute our default drive for outward expansion at a devastating speed. To understand the stakes, we have to zoom out from the corporate ecosystem to the Earth itself. We need to look at the planet as a single, highly interdependent biological system. Philosophers refer to the next stage of this system as the noosphere. The noosphere is an emerging sphere of collective thought, meaning, and responsibility that physically and digitally envelops the Earth. You can think of it in three distinct layers: the foundational ecological biosphere, the layer of human values and culture, and the vast network of artificial intelligence acting as the connective tissue between them. When global communication networks and ecological feedback loops link together, they begin to function as a singular, planetary-scale cognitive entity. This leaves humanity with a very specific existential choice. We can allow our default setting of outward competitive expansion to continue running blindly, or we can actively choose a path of inward, cooperative reflection. That is why the concept of purpose is so critical right now. It scales flawlessly. The exact same mechanism that gives an individual employee meaning in their daily work is the mechanism that our entire species needs to navigate the future. The old biological driver, survival through dominance and resource extraction, is obsolete. To maintain a functioning biosphere, our new evolutionary driver has to be survival through conscious stewardship. Adopting a guided purpose is the biological imperative for our species. It is the required evolutionary adaptation for a species wielding planetary power.